Greetings from Strictly Medicinal Seeds. It's December 6th in the year 2020, and we're talking today about using seed cleaning screens to purify seeds. And this is an example of the seed cleaning screens that we manufacture here. They are a graduated set of 8, starting with relatively coarse. This is a number 2 screen here. That's about 4 strands per inch, making it an 1/8 of an inch in between the strands. And here's an extremely fine, this is a number 7 screen. The general method for cleaning seeds is to find a screen which is large enough for the seed to pass through, and then another screen which is small enough so that the seed remains behind. And the coarse material, in this case Roman Chamomile that we harvested this summer, Roman Chamomile seed heads, will be ground through, and the seeds will be collected. In this case, the seeds are very, very small. So actually Roman Chamomile is a really good example for this demonstration, because a lot of people have trouble cleaning small seeds, and this will help you get a feel for how to do it. So I'm just going to choose, this is actually a number 4 screen here. I'm going to choose this number 4 screen for grinding the herb through, because I know that that's sufficiently large for the seed to pass. And I give it a shake to start with to make sure that there's no seed adhering, other foreign seeds adhering to the mesh. This was used previously for grinding skullcap seeds, so there are a few little skullcap seeds left in here. We'll get those out. Okay. And since the seed is very small, I'm not really sure that it won't pass through my smallest screen, so I'm just going to grind it right onto a sheet, and I know that the seeds won't go through the sheet. So here's our Roman Chamomile. Anthemus nobilis, or Chamomilum nobile, the noble chamomile. This is the tea chamomile that people in Europe prefer to use. Americans tend to use the German chamomile, which is Matricaria chamomilla, but this is a really good tisane or tea herb. So we're going to grind these heads, the capitulae, through the screen by hand. And a lot of people would like to use a glove at this point because it's a little bit hard on the hands, and if you use a leather glove, that's really useful. Well, I'm not going to do that for a couple of reasons. One is this glove is really wet, and it's going to get the seeds wet if I use it. And the other is because my hands are already so tough, they're more or less like leather gloves already anyway. So here we go, grind it through. Smells lovely. The wonderful essential oils are rising up, volatilizing, entering my nostrils, putting me to sleep. It's a little bit sleepy. Chamomile is kind of a sleepy herb. So there we go. All that we have left now are basically the core of the flower, and that can be discarded. And here what we have is the material that was small enough to go through the screen. I'll remove a few sticks from there. And what we're going to do here is we're going to do a transfer. So we're going to transfer from the sheet onto a pan, a pizza pan, but we're going to go through a number 7 screen in order to do that, because what that will do is the number 7 screen will remove a lot of the petals and chaff, but it will allow the seed to go through, and then the seed and the small chaff will end up on our pizza pan. Pizza pan, very important. When you do these transfers, it's important to look carefully at how we do this. You grab the sheet, you pinch it, and you put it up over the top, and then you funnel the material down into the screen like that. Make sure you get all those seeds off of the sheet, and that way, in case there were seeds that were, say we were doing this on the ground, the sheet could easily pick up seeds of other types, and you don't want to, do a pour from the bottom of the sheet, because that could mix in those seeds of other types. Instead, you're just working with what's on the surface of the sheet, and that's only one species, and so you keep your sample pure that way. Now what we're going to do is shake this through. Well then, the chaff is on the screen, and probably most of the seed has fallen through, but we don't really know that. This is a aster plant, and it has ray flowers, which are these little white flowers. They are ligules, which are not fertile, unfertile ligules, and then also the disc flower, which is the more green and yellowish portions of this chaff, and those would contain the seed. So we want to make sure that the disc flower is completely ground up so that all the seed has fallen through. And this would be typical to any seed cleaning attempt, would be to grind the chaffy material on the surface of the screen and make sure that all of the seed is released from the chaff, and that you get everything that you possibly can out of the sample. Good. So there's an intermediate process that I'm thinking of here, which is a rubbing process, a hand rubbing process. And that is important because what I'm noticing is that the seed, the nutlet, is attached to the corolla in many cases. And so we need to give it a physical rub in order to detach the corolla from the nutlet. The nutlet is the part that we want to ultimately keep. And this rubbing is definitely a part of seed cleaning. Seed cleaning ends up being a lot of rubbing. And what I'm picking up on here is that there's a pretty good wind, and I think the wind is going to be the best way of separating this at this point. So I'm going to do a winnowing, and then I'm going to do a finish on this screen. All right, we'll give the sheet a good shake. And we're going to have to do this quickly so that it doesn't pick up too much moisture from the slab because it's been raining. But I think we can do this. And wind winnowing is the most elegant way of separating seeds. And it's often the most effective. So the wind is blowing this way, so I stand off to the side of the wind. And I introduce the seed into a screen in order to break apart the particles so that the wind gets in around the particles and blows away the chaff and keeps the actual seed. Now, if we go down to the sheet, we can disrupt the seed and chaff. In this way, it becomes a sort of a snake. And you can see that here we have the light chaff and here we have the black seed. So I have to make a decision as to where I'm going to separate this. And I'm going to separate it at the point where there's mainly chaff on one side and mainly seed on the other side. And when I make the transfer, I lift and drop the seed right into the pan. So now what we've done is we've used the wind to divest the sample of most of the chaff. And what we have left on the pizza pan is the seed along with some chaff. And so there's a kind of a jiggling motion that really helps to separate. And you can see that I'm getting most of the seed down in here and most of the chaff is staying up in here. And then I can blow. Here we go again. Seed goes down a little bit faster than the chaff, and we can blow over the top. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this edge to hold the seed and continue to blow until I get rid of the remainder of the chaff. And what we end up with is, on kind of a moist Oregon morning, a sample of Roman chamomile seed that's relatively clean. Still a few very small bits of chaff in there, but we have to call it good enough because it's a little moist out here, and if we mess with it much more, it's not going to get any better. So here I'll give you a feel for how you make these transfers so that you don't lose seed. Another tool, it's very useful. Here's my seed packet where the seed is going to go. It needs to be labeled with the proper Latin name. Anthimus nobilis. Chamomile nobile. The Roman chamomile seed. And another tool that's very useful is a piece of paper. It's easy to dump the seed onto a piece of paper. And then we go directly in. Not wasting a seed. Ooh, and we got rid of a little extra chaff also, which was fortuitous. And we seal it with the gummed edge, and there we have it, pure seed.